This is Andrew for the Chosen Prime with the video review of Takara Tomy's MP-36 Megatron, or their second take on a version 2 of a Masterpiece Megatron. Here you can see the figure on the right. Here's his massive box. He does come in a much larger box due to all the accessories he has. The box is actually the same size as the larger boxes for like Ultra Magnus and Star Saber, but here you see all the different accessories, some different poses and whatnot, and a nice photo here of Megatron on the front. So let's go ahead and take a look at some detail for this guy. This is going to be a long video, so I'll try to be as brief as possible. So in that large box, he does come packaged in a double layered clamshell. On the top layer, you get Megatron in his robot mode, plus his fusion cannon, and on the lower bit, you have all his other accessories like his stock, silencer, multiple heads, key to Vector Sigma, other little pieces, chain mace, and we'll get into these in detail, but you can see that you get a lot of different pieces here with the full figure. You also do get the standard collector's card, and then a very detailed and actually quite long booklet here for Megatron because his transformation is pretty complex. So let's go take a look at some robot mode detail. So I'll start off by noting that this is not a flat gray plastic. All of this exterior pieces here are painted, and it's a kind of a dull metallic gray, but it is metallic. There's metallic flake throughout all the paint here on the exposed parts, on his legs, arms, cannon. Everywhere you can kind of see where it is silver and it's exposed, it is to have this metallic flaked silver. It is not a bright silver like other Masterpiece figures, and we'll get to those kind of comparisons in a little bit, but this is all painted. The only unfortunate thing about him being all painted is that he is, there are parts of him that are possible issues due to paint wear, things like his scope here, due to transformation and other stuff like that. So it's something to be wary of when you're transforming or messing with him, that he is, there are different wear spots that are possible on this figure. But in person, unlike the photos, this is a nice color, and then when we do get to comparisons with other Masterpiece figures, it does work. But it is a metallic color that is more aiming towards the kind of a cartoon aesthetic. And then specifically like here, you can see that his face here is actually a dull, flat gray. And so it almost got a little bit of a blue color to it. Again, it's one of those things that's hard to see in pictures and photos, but once you get it in person, it does work. So his overall detail here, you can see he's got some nice little clear bits here in his chest, Decepticon logo, just nice kind of design overall. This is a different metallic color here in his lower legs, flat black here for the his outer legs that matches the kind of the gun mode stuff, and just nice bits of just different silver throughout. His feet here are die cast and they are painted as well, and so as a whole package, he does look quite nice. His overall design is fairly clean. Yes, he does have a lot of panel lines and pieces due to his very complex transformation, but in person, it just all kind of makes a really nice overall good silhouette, and it's fairly clean. Not a whole lot of kibble overall. Fairly clean backpack. No real visible hollow parts on him, kind of anywhere on him. As far as his articulation, his head here is on a really nice strong ball joint, so you can look up, down, side to side. And when we get to the other heads, you see how that really works. His arms are ratcheted all the way around. They can ratchet upwards as well. There is a joint that you can have it so you can curl the arms inward on both sides, which is a nice little bonus. Bicep swivel, really nice elbow curve and curl there. His hands can rotate. They're almost, and then the hands are kind of a new upgraded style of Masterpiece hands. So the lower fingers here actually are one piece, but then they have their own joint, so they can curl in. And then the index finger here has also got multiple joints, so you can get some nice posing poses. And then the thumb itself can curl inwards on a hinge there. And then furthermore, here at his wrist, there's a joint here, so you can move the wrist inward and outward to just get a little bit more kind of emotion out of that hand if you like. He can rotate all the way around at the waist. If we move these hip skirts out of the way, you just have a leg that ratchets forward, ratchets back. There's no ratchet outwards, and it is fairly stiff, but it will be a little bit loose. Upper thigh swivel here, that's nice and strong. Really nice knee bends, and just a solid looking knee there. His feet do have ankle articulation, and it's nice and stiff. Again, these are die cast. And then there's a ratchet that you can point the toes and move the toes backwards. And if you really wanted to, you can undo part of the foot here to get a little bit more heel spur, but he really doesn't need it for most of his poses. And that's kind of one of the nice things about this official version of, this version 2 of Megatron here. He feels the most solid of the other kind of current Masterpiece Megatrons on the market right now. This just feels like a really nice, solid toy, and it's like, as far as posability, I kind of prefer this one. As far as Megatron's height, he is about 9.5 inches here to the top of his head, which does match MP10, and we'll see that in a little bit. And then he actually is quite a bit heavier than I thought he was going to be. He's about 15.5 ounces, so he's quite heavy. His feet here, again, are die-cast. There's different die-cast pieces throughout. And again, due to all the different ratcheting joints and posability, that's where I feel that this version of Megatron really succeeds. You can get some really striking poses with him, and then once you get things like the flight stand, which I'll show off in a little bit, you can get some really, really cool poses from MP-36 here. It's a really excellent toy, definitely a next level masterpiece figure from Takara Tomy. Now, normally I would show off his accessories and his transformation, but I think more people would want to see what he looks like compared to some of the other Megatrons. So let's go ahead and look at some comparisons first. And here's the comparison I think most people will want to see. Here's a robo comparison between MP-36 and other unofficial Megatrons. And you can see how they all stack up here, being kind of comparisons for MP10. On the left, we've got the first one, X-Transbots Apollyon. We've got DX9's Mightron. We've got MakeToys Despotron, and of course we have the official MP-36. You can see here that MP-36 here is a darker gray. He is still metallic, but he's nowhere near as silver and shiny as the unofficial ones. Stylistically, MP-36 does match the animation a little bit better. His legs definitely look a lot better, and his overall kind of proportions match better than the other unofficial ones. He also is a little bit taller. Other differences, of course, of Apollyon here, he's got a lot of kibble, but he's also got, posable fingers and a really nice gun mode, but he's complicated. Mightron is simpler here, but then he's limited as far as his posability, and his transformation is a little bit difficult. Despotron definitely is stylized. He's got probably the more fun transformation over them all, but he's got a nice stylized look. And of course we have the official one here. Kind of spinning them around to kind of see kibble differences overall. You can see whereas the unofficial ones kind of take cues from the animation and their official toy as far as bits of red. You can kind of see here how the kibble stacks up across all three. With Mightron here, kind of on the second one, is kind of his backpack is quite kibbly. And again, I would say overall, I mean each one has its own pluses and minuses. But kind of build-wise and kind of overall feel, I think the official one definitely is quite an improvement over these unofficial Megatrons released so far. Road comparison with some other official MPs. We've got the Takara Tomy version of Masterpiece Soundwave and the US version of Masterpiece Starscream MP11. You can see here how his color for MP36 here in the middle matches the other official product. While not silvery like like Soundwave's arms here, it still works as a nice version of Megatron that is both cartoon and a little bit toy accurate here, and matches the grays across Starscream and Soundwave. He is a bit taller than the other two figures. I unfortunately do not have a Masterpiece Shockwave on hand. He does not share any engineering from MP36. He's actually quite a bit shorter. He's Shockwave's about the size of MP11 here on the right. But here you can see how this trio of Masterpiece Decepticons just look really, really nice, and how well Megatron here in the middle just fits. They're just dead on to this other official Masterpiece product. He's just really, really cool. Takara Tomy did an excellent job here giving us a newer version here of Masterpiece Megatron. And one final robo comparison for Megatron with the golden standard of Masterpiece Transformers. Here's the US version of MP10. You can see how good Megatron looks next to Prime here. How they match a similar aesthetic overall, nice similar scale. Megatron is slightly taller, but he was that way in the show. And even though he's kind of this duller gray, he does look great next to Prime and other Masterpiece Transformers. Not a lot of kibble across the two figures, and just how well the new Megatron is built. And it's really fulfilling here to have this newer redesigned Masterpiece Megatron for our collections. So before I move on to transformation for Megatron here, I'll go ahead and show off his accessories. MP36's best accessory is actually his fusion cannon here. This actually can stay on through his entire transformation, but it actually does slide off. We just slide up there's some locking tabs here that slide and lock onto this panel on his arm. And there's actually electronics here in the gun here. You can just unscrew the screw here, and 2 LR44 batteries get installed here. And then we get some audio features. So there's a switch here in the back that's got 3 positions. In the front, you press the button and you get some shooting sounds, cannon sounds, and actually the speakers here in the back of the cannon. If we go to the second one, we get some voices from the Japanese Megatron voice actor. I mean, it's a shame that it isn't Japanese. It does make sense considering this is the Takara Tomy version of Megatron here, so it would be expected that's the Japanese voice actor, but it is a nice feature, and it might be able to, someone might be able to alter it to have Frank Welker's voice. And then the final positions there in the back, if you switch to the back, you get the transformation forward and backwards, which is a cool little feature. And then the gun itself can actually, for gun mode, the cannon part here can extend. So this is by far the kind of the coolest feature of the toy. And again, it slides in here. He does come with 3 alternate faces. This is a default installed face. To replace it, we just lift up on this panel here. You get some little Easter egg detail here for when he was reformatted by Unicron. His first replacement face here is one where he's yelling. Again, really nice sculpting here for Takara on these new faces. He also has a kind of a laughing face we can install, which is, a really cool looking. Again, this is the best Megatron head sculpt by far. One of the other accessories he comes with is the little kind of remote helmet he used when he was controlling the kind of the clone of Optimus Prime. You can see there's a lot of nice paint detail on it. And it just slides around his head like this. And then his third and final face he has, if we lift it up and replace the new one, it's the battle damaged face from after the battle with Prime in the movie when he met Unicron. You can see he's got some cracks and some fluid kind of coming across the face. And to help with that design, you can actually take this little panel here, and there's just slides up on some channels, and he comes with a replacement battle damaged chest plate. And you can see there's just like these little pieces here that just slide around this parts here. And you can have a battle damage version of Megatron here. Really cool little bit of detail here that they added to let you have that version of Megatron. MP-36 also does come with a little die-cast and golden painted key to Vector Sigma, and you can hold it in his hand. You just got to pinch his thumb around the piece. He also comes with a couple other hand weapons. One of them is the gun that he found in the Transformers movie when he held Rodimus hostage. And it can just key into his hand just like other Masterpiece weapons. And just pegs in. He also has his sword he used in the battle with Prime. And not only do you have the sword here with the energon, little bits of detail, you can also take this off and just have the hilt. And additionally take the gun and you can have it so that he's got the effect part for the gun there. So you have a lot of play options there. But as far as the sword, it's the same as it was for the gun. It just pegs into his hand here, and you put the fingers around it. His final weapon accessory that he has is his chain mace that he used in the G1 episode. And so by default, it's got a little plastic chain here. And to install it, we just take one of the hands here and slide it down. You can see how it just slides out. And then slide this piece up into the slot. And he's got his chain mace there on a clear chain. But alternatively, you can unpeg this piece, and he comes with a posable kind of chain that you can then peg into one side of each. And so you can actually have it so that it's kind of flying through the air. And you can get some pretty nice poses with this setup. It's got a lot of joints here in this part of the weapon. The final 2 accessories he comes with are his stock here, which can be used not only as the stock, which can attach to him in gun mode, but also can be used as a weapon mode, as well as a flight stand, and I'll show that in a little bit. This piece here is actually die cast, so he does stand up quite nice. And then it does come with the silencer part here that you can use for gun mode as well as this weapon placement mode. So to do the weapon mode, we come to the stock here. We split this in half. This part ratchets back. This ratchets forward. We come to this top part up here. To press this button here, which will let us release this piece. And it is kind of stiff, but it helps. This is what locks it into place. Take this piece, rotate it around 180. Take the cannon part right here, and it'll slide into a channel here, and it's actually quite stiff. It'll slide into these channels right here. You don't want to press it too far. Extend the barrel. Come to the silencer part here. Rotate this around, and then we just fit this piece over that. We can pull these little handles out here on each side, and like the G1 toy. And then you can have Megatron here wield the pieces here as a gun emplacement like he did in the G1 toy, which is a nice little other bonus. The final little bit that this lets you do is make it into a flight stand. So we take the gun emplacement here and remove the stock as well as the silencer, flip the handles in, rotate this piece around, and then if we look, there's this new peg and kind of sliding mechanism, and it matches this part here on the back side of Megatron. So you want to slide and peg this peg up into it, and it actually will be a very tight fit once you get it locked in there. And then now you have a flight stand where you can pose Megatron flying. Again, it's a very stiff piece. You want to use that locking tab here to kind of move him around. Here's an example of one of the poses you can get. Like that one shot in the animated movie where he was flying and using his cannon. This also shows up that he does have an ab crunch. I didn't show that off earlier. He does have a pretty strong ab crunch. And here's another pose where you can see that he can be set up to fly like he did in the G1 episodes with the use of the stock here. It's nice how Takara Tomy was able to reuse and repurpose this stock to let us have a flight stand like this that does hold him up pretty securely. So let's go ahead and take a look at his very complicated transformation. As stated earlier, this guy is just covered in his metallic paint. All these exposed parts are all metallic paint. And as advisory, if you're at all concerned about paint wear, I might recommend skipping his transformation if you're worried about getting wear spots on the figure. It is a very complex transformation. A lot of parts move up to each other, and even on this copy I've had here, I've scuffed in a few places. It does not ruin the figure, but it does add a little scuffs here and there. And again, if you're concerned about it, I might recommend just leaving him in robot mode. And considering how most of us, when we do get a Masterpiece Megatron or Megatron figure, will transform into gun mode like once just out of curiosity, we often leave him in robot mode. Again, you might want to take that tact with this MP-36 here. So I'll try to be as concise and clear when I'm transforming him, but it is a very complex transformation. So to start, we come just back here. We want to lift this up. This little panel here will fold down, fold the cannon arm outwards. We want to fold these pieces in so that we can lift this panel up, rotate it around, and get it so it sits like this. So essentially we do the same thing on the other side here. We want to bend this in far enough to pull this out, then we can spin it, and then open it up fully, and there's this piece ready to go. Spin the figure around, come to this chest panel here, rotate it so that it faces this way, with the Decepticon emblem kind of facing that way, and then the entire chest part here, by pushing up on it, it'll kind of sandwich in closer to the chest and closer to his face and his chin. So like that, you can see how that now sits in this channel like that. Lift the arm up. This piece here underneath the arm will rotate out forward like this. We want to spin it as well as straighten it out. I'm going to do that on both sides. So again, come to the torso here, hinge this outward, spin it, but then also straighten this out. And these two pieces will come together like so. Come to the arms. They will temporarily unhinge and unpeg from the torso here so that we can use the ab crunch. And we need to get to these red sections here at his torso, and we want to, they'll flip upwards. So if we get clearance, and you might want to rotate the waist a little bit so that they fold up into place like that. So come around to the other side, and we want to get the arm out of the way, close up that around the chest, and we can peg the arms back together for now, but that's essentially, that moves the torso into a thinner alignment. Rotate the arms downward for now. We want to spin them around and come back here to the back of an arm, and we'll take a look. We want to take this faux hammer here that's from the gun to pull it down so that it'll open up this panel. You can see how this panel now will pull away from the arm. And close this outer one down like that. Rotate the arm so that this panel is facing downward like this. Take the hammer and fold it in on itself. And then this entire panel will hinge upwards closer to the hinge. And this part is a bit tricky. It feels like it's not gonna go, but it does fully lock into place like that. So again, this is a bit stiff to kind of move from here to here. Come to the hand. This panel here will open up. Take the hand, rotate it, and straighten out the fingers. Flip in the thumb as fast as you can. Bend in the fingers, and essentially you want to make it so he's got a flatter hand. And then rotate it in, and it should fit into that space. Go ahead, and you can see that now that we've got this all set, this arm is rotated so we can push this closed. And that's one arm essentially ready to go. Come to the other arm, we'll do the same thing. Pull down this hammer just so that it'll pull up and open this channel, or this panel. Flip out this little piece, close down the outer arm. We want to rotate the arm again so that it's facing with this piece downwards. Flip in the hammer into the inner arm there. It'll lock into place. And again, close this part up. And for whatever reason, that's just really stiff to move into this position. Come to the hand. Open up the arm panel. Rotate the hand. Make sure it is as flat as possible. Flip it into this space. And then collapse the arm. Now we want to untab them again from this space, but then rotate the arm kind of inwards so that it's now facing this way. This panel on this arm will now rotate, and this piece will flip up on itself. So we'll do the same on the other side. Take this part and then rotate the arm kind of inwards like this. And there's the arms essentially ready to go. This next bit is probably the trickiest. We want to fold up this entire backpack up around the head, and you can see how it fits around his robot mode head. And these two pieces now are ready to sandwich into the sides here. And this is by far the most difficult kind of part of the transformation, is getting these two sides fully pegged in, because there's a bunch of tabs. There's a tab here, this needs to fit there, this needs to fit into this space. It's a challenge the first couple times you do it, but just sandwich it down so that you have one side like that. And then when we come back to this side, you can see there's a peg hole there on the kind of this part of the gun, and there's also a channel here that we need to get this all lined up when it comes sandwiching in. And again, it's going to be a bit tricky the first couple times you do it, and I haven't found the secret to it to get all these tabs lined up in a nice smooth manner. So let me go ahead and try to get this all sandwiched together off camera. And so I just applied a bit more pressure and kind of got it all sandwiched down and locked down correctly. You can see how it all does sit flush, all the different tabs and stuff locked down. Take the barrel, rotate it so that the kind of sight line here is set up correctly. And that's that part of the transformation complete. Now we'll do the feet. So come to the foot over here, lift down on it, but then lift up on the kind of the front of the foot, and that'll let us have clearance to be able to slide or rotate this piece out. And it's tricky how to get it the right way, but you can see how you can get clearance to then rotate this piece out, like so. Come to this panel on the leg, lift up on it and rotate it, and again it's kind of stiff, and then push inwards after splitting the leg, and it'll slide, that piece will rotate inward into the leg like that. This piece here will and angle forward like that. Come to the back of the leg, push this piece to move this panel, flip this piece out and kind of get this out of the way. And then the ingenious part of this kind of leg mechanism here is it's kind of hard to see. There's a mechanism in here that kind of makes it so the leg can collapse. So we take it and we kind of just shift it, and the leg kind of shrinks in half. It's just by kind of like squeezing it and rotating the panels like that. Now we can take the leg back part here. This will peg in, filling in the back of the leg. The foot will rotate all the way back into the back of the heel. This will face forward, and this piece will all angle up and fit along the side of the leg. Like, let's do the other leg here. So again, straighten out this part of the foot, lift up on the top of the foot so that we can rotate this piece outwards. This little panel here will rotate upwards like so. Come to the back, push this piece and pull it out of the way of the entire foot. Flipping up the little panel here like this. And just make sure we can kind of get this angled out of the way. This leg's a little bit trickier because we have a little tab here. So come to the front, untab the leg parts. This piece here will fold inwards. This part of the trigger will untab and pull forward like that. And then again, push up on the halves and the leg will collapse like that. Rotate the leg backwards and then just make it so that this part goes across the legs like that. Next, I recommend untabbing these little pieces here from the back of his waist, rotating them down, and then they will straighten out like so. Come to these hip skirt parts, flip them out as well. They will rotate out, and there's a piece here that'll fold and flip out. And right now we're just trying to get them out of the way for another part of the legs, but we want to go ahead and get these ready for the next step. So straighten them out and rotate them away. And then rotate the hip skirts forward like this. And eventually these parts here will actually match and fit into part of the gun. But come around here, and we need to be able to take these two gray pieces here that are against the waist and make it so that they untab from this torso here and come downwards. Now this part, this particular joint here is like super strong, and it took forever for me to get it to do the first time. So you can see that they come down like this side does. And so the only way I found to really is you kind of need to grab it and carefully untab it from the torso so the legs will come closer together. Come to the hammers here in part of the legs and lift them up, rotate them up. And essentially now we can take the entire lower legs and peg them together, making note that this tab here is more of a over-under kind of piece. So you want to kind of get it so that it just slides into place versus pegging into place. But here you should be able to take all the lower legs and along different parts here, they will all peg together, kind of making one cohesive lower part. And you may need to kind of twist the lower legs here to kind of get them to line up. But there is the lower legs all set. Now we can come to the upper torso here. We want to rotate it 180. Kind of making sure we got clearance for everything here. Spin the figure around. We want to, this piece here, we want to lift it up so it's against the head like that. These kind of gun handle pieces, we want to rotate so that we can fold them inwards closer to the body like this. So essentially we want to rotate them 180, and then these two pieces will sit closer like that for when we close the legs. And this next bit here is kind of interesting. So first we want to bend the knees so they are like that. And then if we look here on each one of the legs, they actually have compression joints here. And so we want to kind of fold the legs in onto themselves and bring this all forward, making sure that those kind of hip skirt pieces fit into the middle of the figure. And again, it's easier to do in person than just to watch on film, but essentially we want to have it so that it feeds up into the gun like that. You can see how it kind of collapses closer. Now we just want to get these panels here, here and here to kind of peg into the sides. You just got to make sure we get everything kind of get sandwiched correctly, and it will get all locked into place. So let me go ahead and finish that up off camera real quick. So now I've got these all seated correctly. I just had to kind of play with it a little bit to kind of get everything fed into the correct slots, but you can see this all fits nice and securely. You can take the hammer back here and pull it back. This piece here we want to fold backwards, and then we're almost done. These arms, they will hinge upwards and over onto essentially this area here, making sure that it has clearance and just fits up and over like that. Making sure everything tabs together. Do the same thing for the other side here. Again, you gotta get these hinges, and getting it all over everything can be a bit tricky because there's just so many parts moving, but they all do have a spot to go to. The cannon arm wants to rotate around so that we can get these pieces here fully sandwiched. The trigger guard here, you can see how it tees in like that. We can move the safety forward, move the hammer up, come to the cannon arm here and extend this piece. And here is Megatron in his base pistol mode. And here is Megatron in his pistol mode. You see that it looks pretty good overall, comparatively how complex the transformation was. Everything seems to pay together very solidly, unlike some of the third-party efforts. He does have a working spring trigger. You can use the hammer in the back to lift it and turn it up and down, which is kind of fun. And the safety does move. The scope and the effects still work as far as the audio, which is fun. And overall, you can see that it fits well in an adult hand, like you would assume a Masterpiece Megatron would. You can take, of course, the stock here, and you using that button, you want to start at the bottom here and key it into there, and there you can see how the stock attaches. And then I won't put the silencer on fully because it does again scratch the barrel. I already have, even testing it, there's some scratches here on the barrel of the paint, so again, be wary. And here's what it looks like with it fully attached. Again, you can push this further on, but you're going to really scrape up the barrel. But overall, very nice, very evocative of the G1 cartoon and G1 toy. So let's go ahead and get on some final thoughts. Some final thoughts here for Takara Tomy's MP-36 Masterpiece Megatron, their second updated attempt at a Masterpiece style version of the Decepticon leader. This design is just a really solidly designed toy. Takara Tomy has hit all the right notes for making a Masterpiece version of Megatron. This toy is very posable, it's solid, he's got a lot of accessories to kind of make him very emotive. You can set up great poses and displays with this figure. And as you can see, while his paint isn't all shiny metallic, it does fit with other Masterpiece Decepticons quite well. MP-36 here is currently available from the Chosen Prime. If you'd like to add this version of Masterpiece Megatron to your collection, he does come recommended, so take care.